So some of the names that Debo put together off the Shrine Bowl 1000 quarterback wise that are interesting to me. Bo Nix had a fantastic year last year after what happened at Auburn. And when I talked to some people around the league, a lot of the Auburn stuff was Auburn related, not Bo Nix related. And that seemed to play itself out last season. Michael Penix, I love. Riley Leonard is a sleeper for me that I have been talking up, and Spielman makes noises when I mention his name. And Spencer Rattler, who's sort of rediscovered himself after leaving Oklahoma, going to South Carolina. But a guy I want to start with, Eric, is Joe Milton at Tennessee. Transfer from Michigan. There are a few people on planet Earth with his physical skills. It's just a matter of putting it all together. What are you and your scouts sort of talking about with Joe Milton, where he is and where he needs to get in order to be that sort of top flight NFL quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, physically, it's funny. I was at Manning Passing Academy. I was there a year ago and saw Anthony Richardson throw a 75-yard pass and do a backflip where the ball landed. And I don't think that was a secret, because Joe Milton did the same thing like 4 or 5 times. I think he showed people that were there that, hey, this is what I got to do to be the 4th overall pick. I'll do it. And he's very similar physically to Anthony Richardson. Maybe a stronger arm, as crazy as that sounds.
Sweet
maybe
mercy.
A little bit less maybe a little bit less. I mean, Richardson was a 4.4 guy, and maybe Milton's a mid 4.4 guy. And arm talent wise, Milton's probably got a stronger arm. But I think Joe has to overcome is not a lot. He can get a great chance at Michigan to really show development. He's developed a lot since that time. But NFL teams just want to see the accuracy. They want to see it rain in. That's where Richardson had some games last year that he showed that he can be an accurate quarterback on the perimeter when he's off balance a little bit. And obviously the Colts are pretty bullish on that projection as well too. But I think if Joe can show he can play within an offense and not make the big mistake, and then really finish those downfield throws, especially those dig routes and inside breaking ones, that's kind of where he'll go from a really intriguing guy to where I think he ends up going. I mean, there's a great chance he's a top 10 pick. I mean, I know it sounds crazy to some people, but I was at Manning camp last year and I saw Richardson. I said, he's going to be a top 10 pick. And if I said that to Anthony Richardson, I can't not say it for Joe Milton. He's also a great person. Yes, sir. No, sir. Big smile. Great with the kids. He was the star of the show there at Manning camp. And I think he'll be the star of the show in the SEC, at least early on in the season. And we saw that offense with Hendon Hooker can be really successful. And I think he doesn't have to be Hendon Hooker level accurate. Hendon had one of the best deep ball touches of a quarterback the last couple of years. That was his kind of superpower. That's different than Joe Milton, but we've seen that Tennessee offense be productive and successful. And I think if Joe can even have 90% of that, he's got, 2 or 3 times the athletic and physical gifts that Hendon had that make he could definitely be a top 10 pick. So I'm not saying he will, he's got to prove it, but the way things went with Richardson last year, I think Milton's definitely on track to be a guy that's going to be challenging for one of the top quarterbacks in next year's draft.
Wow. And by the way, in the list of Tennessee quarterbacks, saying that Joe Milton is 10 times more athletic than Hendon Hooker. It's not like Hendon Hooker's Peyton Manning, by the way.
No. Yeah.
He's incredibly athletic.
Yes.
So that's a pretty bold statement. Well, let me ask you this. I'll switch gears here. You're the Manning Passing Academy. Any other quarterback on the Shrine Bowl 1000 that took your breath away?
Not necessarily. I think it's a deep class, and I don't think it's that every year. I'm looking at just in terms of seniors, and it's going to be near impossible. It's going to be a dart throw in terms of finding out who's actually the right guys, because you've got guys that Brock Purdy type idea like Devin Leary, Michael Pratt, Cam Rising, Will Rogers. You got the great athletes like Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, DJ Ongole at Oregon State who's transferred there too. You've got the guys that have, a lot of talent: Spencer Rattler, Joe Milton, Bo Nix, Jordan Travis, who's a gamer, a lot of other players as well too. It's one of the deeper quarterback classes. And for me, talking with these guys, and again, because of COVID, a lot of these guys have been in school for 5-6 years. So they're adults. They're grown men ready to be NFL quarterbacks. So this will be by far the toughest job the last 2 years that I've had, and kind of evaluating who the top 6, 8, 12 best quarterbacks in the draft are, because at least senior wise, because of how deep it is, because of COVID and transfers and all that stuff. So it's going to be a job I'm not excited for. I'm picking who our quarterbacks are going to be, because it's that talented this year for sure.
Caleb Williams isn't eligible for the All-Star games just yet, but I think a lot
he would be an invite though. Spoiler alert: he would be an invite if he was eligible.
I think a lot would have to happen for him not to be QB1. Are you willing to go that? Are you still willing to be patient on that?
I think he'll be one of the first true quarterbacks drafted in this year's draft if he comes out for the draft.
Okay.
I think he'll be a top 2 pick if he's in the 2024 NFL draft class.
Right. Okay. I know. Yeah.
But he's special. He's special. I think there's other stuff that teams have to work through, and Drake May also is is pretty special as well. But there's a chance that maybe Caleb wants to stay another year. Who knows? He may be a guy that, whatever. But I think he's going to be a top 2 pick and maybe a top 1 pick in the draft whenever he does come out for the draft.
Have you had a chance to see Riley Leonard yet?
I have. Yeah, he was out at Manning camp and watched him the last couple of years. And got a chance to see him live last year a couple of times and physically looks the part. He's got a lot of that Daniel Jones where like he's just operating that offense. It just looks like an NFL quarterback, not to quote Dave Gettleman, but it just looks like an NFL quarterback out there. And that offense is going to be productive this year. It's a talented offensive line, which is important for a guy like Riley, who's more of a pocket guy who can maybe run a little bit. But I think he has a great chance to be, rise up. I think we've got a top 2 quarterbacks. We've got guys like Joe Milton and Quinn Ewers, and J.J. McCarthy will be in that mix as well too. But I think he's going to be someone who will be maybe just behind that tier for right now and could definitely rise up a bit more with a great year. But NFL teams are excited on him again if he comes out for the draft this year.
Yeah, I like him a lot too. I was impressed when I watched him over the summer. Spielman not quite as high as me, but that's all right. Turns out Spielman's not right about everything. All right.